What's raging, gamers? Welcome to the season opener of season 6 of Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
You know me, I'm doing fantastic, Chris. It's just really hot in Los Angeles right now.
Hey, welcome to Dante's Inferno, my friend. Yes, it is very lively. It's very hot. I feel like it's because, things are starting to scorch up. We got a lot of video game news and industry talk to discuss throughout this show today, and we are just so stoked to see you, the gamers, here. And hey, Zacho Man Gaming says, new season, baby. Welcome back, boys. We appreciate you guys. It was a very fun little break off, but I always get that itching to want to be back, HenricK. I don't know about you. Do you enjoy your days off, or are you excited to be back on air?
I mean, I am someone who does enjoy a day off, but every now and then, you gotta just sit down with the boys, have a, fun time raging.
That's right. Come on now. We always like to start off the show with the bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the globe. This is really just set the tone for what Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show is all about. So get this, after 11-year hiatus, EA College Football is back, and college athletes are partying harder than ever in an epic live stream that you might have missed, but it's okay. We got you, fam. Colorado Buffalo teammates Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter turned early access into an unforgettable virtual touchdown comeback. I love this kind of clip. I don't know if anybody else is excited for EA College Football. We're just hoping it's not a Daisy Do and it's just a fantastic game, but we'll have to see. Maybe if you had the early access, you were lucky. If not, you have to wait until Friday. But check this out. This is freaking awesome.
All right, bro. Why are you following me around, bro? Get away from me. You're not even gonna come to one, bro.
I promise you I am. I'm just disguising it like I'm not.
No! Ah! 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 Go! 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 Ah! 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 What are they talking about? What are they talking about? What I'm doing with that stick? Bro, I'm a troll, bro. I did it on purpose, bro. I'm a troll.
I like the zoom in on the AI NPCs. Their faces, they're just like, no.
But you know what's
in
so
the
great
background,
about?
they're like, yeah.
Yeah, right. But do you think in that moment was Travis Hunter just trolling to let Shedeur Sanders win in that epic comeback? There was 7 seconds on the clock, and he took it over. It was 46-41 to beat the game.
I mean, yeah, it could be. That's just,
What? You don't give any credit to Shedeur Sanders?
Hey, who knows, really?
Right, that's so true. But let's get to the comments. Chasing yourself while using yourself and doing that as yourself must be surreal. Yeah, I think that's the really cool part, especially with a lot of these college athletes get to see themselves in a video game. That's got to be such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely a trip, I'm sure, to know, hey, that's a character in the game that's modeled after me.
Right.
That's amazing.
It's like that feeling that, Ninja got when he got his own character in Fortnite. That's got to be such a surreal feeling. And I bet he still has that same, butterfly feeling he gets in his stomach, just knowing that he's a part of such an iconic franchise. Next comment that we got here is Travis in his head. Man, I ain't even that fast. That was pretty funny. Travis Hunter is losing the game, but he's chasing Travis Hunter is chasing Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Because Travis Hunter plays on offense and defense. And the last comment, I'm just happy they ain't use Madden mechanics. I guess we're going to have to find out. I mean, I know some people have been kind of clowning some certain teams, with their color palette makes the game kind of sort of look cheesy. But then again, we all haven't had our fingers on it as of yet. So we're just going to have to let it see. But we're HenricK, you're not quite into sports games, but I think I'm going to have to torture your soul a little bit. This might have to be a future pause or repeat. So maybe
we'll see. Definitely is a possibility. It's one of those games that is on the spectrum of what we're looking at.
But it's not just college football that's getting all the eyeballs right now. I don't know if anybody else saw this. There is a gentleman, a part of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's an NBA rookie. His name is Terrence Shannon Jr. He has an Infinity ammo cheat from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas tattooed on his arm, ensuring he's always ready to shoot his shot, both on and off the court. To me, I mean, when you see this, HenricK, I mean, what's your first reaction? I mean, I'm looking at LaFreak. What does that mean?
I mean, it is a choice, that's for sure. I don't know if I'd do GTA necessarily, maybe the Konami code or something. That's a little bit more iconic in my opinion. But hey, if you grew up with GTA and not necessarily the Konami code, this is essentially the same thing, is it not?
You know, can't argue with that. And I know that, the first comment that we got here is, I'm from the paper days. I actually didn't even need the paper. I actually knew how to get my weapons. R2, R2, L1, R2, left.
Oh, okay.
Down, left, right, up, down, left, right,
you were
up.
the
See,
one
I
who
knew
had
it.
it
I
all
remember.
memorized. Okay, Chris, I see you.
But that was GTA 3. But all the rest of the games I can't remember. But you know how that was back in the PS2 era. Next comment that we got here is, first we got Victor dressing up as Slenderman, and now cheat code tattoos. What's next? Yeah, this NBA, these future athletes that are starting to show up, they're menaces, I think.
You know what? It's a new era of people who are both fans and athletes. I mean, look and see what happened with the Dodgers a couple weeks back. They had a VTuber sing in the final inning.
Yeah?
That's wild.
Yeah.
VTuber was able to do that, and people were hype about it too. It wasn't like a small thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you get other cats like this that think that's incredibly cool. And, I'm not necessarily someone who's a person that's in favor of tattoos. I don't have any tattoos on my body, but I got to say, if that's on his shooting arm, that only makes it even more badass because he's got unlimited ammo. He's always putting up buckets. I get what that guy's going from, but I still need answers addressed. Like LaFreak, I don't what the hell all about.
Yeah.
But anyways, we got another little flashback down memory lane. Does anybody remember Skylanders, that magical Toys to Life game where you placed your action figure on the quote portal of power, and you felt like you were summoning this little tiny plastic superhero from another dimension? If you guys don't remember, man, this kid was going viral for bringing back something that I feel like it could come back in a different way, but I won't spoil it until I show this video.
That seems like a good time to me. I don't know about you, Chris.
I have a really great idea for this. I kind of am shocked that we're still not doing this today in 2024. It feels like a great money opportunity for a lot of studio companies out there. But let's go through the comments first, and then I'll throw my suggestion out to HenricK the Rec and see anybody that's tuning in live has any other great ideas or just think that I'm on to nothing. It's okay. You can trash me if you think my opinions are shit. I don't care less. But the first comment is, I was too poor as a kid, but I always wanted to play this game. On a level, I was a little past, this game. But I feel like if I was young enough when Skylanders was around, I feel like I'd be all over my parents' wallet. I don't know about you, HenricK.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the more successful version of this probably was the Nintendo Amiibos. But even that, I feel like
forgot about that.
not necessarily in the same way was this the same experience, because like Amiibos is just like, oh, you have the Amiibo here, you can get this thing unlocked, or here's some extra coins for you in this Mario game. But this was a different experience entirely, where it's just like you're feeling more connected to the game as a result.
Yeah, Amiibo's more like an NFT.
Yeah, exactly, more like that.
The downfall of this game needs to be studied. It did seem like it had a pretty good window. I mean, it was essentially like the Beanie Baby era.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You got to be able to market those to the right demographic, the kids, and then, they have to convince their parents to invest more money in this thing as well.
But I mean, people collect all kinds of random shit. I'm having a brain fart of that. There's that oh gosh, I can't even think of it. The dolls with the big heads, and they're getting their own video game pretty soon.
The Pops. The Funko
Pops.
Yeah,
I mean, if people want to collect those in numbers, you'd think that people would be collecting what Jake is saying here, Disney Infinity, or they would be going after Skylanders. But I also have another great idea. Fortnite, if you want to hit me up, Epic Games, why don't you guys are selling $10, $15 character models all the freaking time online. Why don't you guys just come up with a little statue that you can buy at Target and Walmart, and they're like $25. You can make a $10, $15 markup, but I actually get to take the physical toy home, and then I get to play them in game. I know. You can thank me later. Okay.
That's not a bad idea. I'd say if the skin comes included in it, I think that's a deal.
It's like First Descendants, right? You know, they're trying to figure out ways to try to get this whole pay-to-play system going, and it's not quite there yet, I think, but maybe this might help elevate it. You're like, damn, that thing kind of looks cool to sit up on my desk. I think I'm going to buy it just so I can get the character,
and then I'm going to scan it. Like, then you probably want that ultimate bunny statue.
Maybe. Hey, but this is Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. After all, we got a jam-packed show for everybody that is tuning in live from either YouTube, Twitch, and now Meta. We've moved on from Twitter because, you know, as a
you gotta have that blue check mark for some reason
Henrik,
now.
You know, for an account that always says they're the platform for free speech, but then they want to hide themselves under a paywall all of a sudden to be able to live stream on their platform. It's pretty screwed up in my opinion. So it's kind of lame. We wish to be back on X, but we aren't. So we're here on Meta, Twitch, and YouTube. So enough said. And also get involved in the live chat. Thank you for throwing that up as a lower third. That is such a beautiful thing that we got going with Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. We want to hear from you gamers. Your voice will be heard. If you guys are chatting in the chat box, wherever you're tuning in live, we will feature you live on the show. If you have a great take, a shitty take, all in between, we will comment on it.
Call out Chris. I'm saying it right now. Call out Chris.
Fine, yeah, do it, Henrik. You might need the support after today's show, okay?
Oh, okay. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, right. Hey, but I think this is a perfect time to start segueing. Are you ready to rock and roll, HenricK the Wreck?
Absolutely. It's time to talk about a game.
Let's get it, baby. Woo!
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Elden Ring's expansion titled Shadow of the Erdtree. It's been 2 years since Elden Ring first came out, and in that year, the game won Game of the Year, so expectations are high with this expansion. But does Shadow of the Erdtree deliver on the hype? Let's get into the gameplay and find out. The gameplay of this expansion to Elden Ring doesn't stray too far from the foundation built by the base game. However, you can expect countless more weapons to choose from, including new weapon categories like martial arts or light greatsword, as well as new abilities and spells. Therefore, the expansion has opened up more opportunities for builds. You'll still be learning how to roll and jump to dodge enemy abilities, and spend countless hours exploring the map. But the game also decided to flip the script on the level scaling, meaning that you cannot overlevel like you can in the base game. From Software introduced a new mechanic to the game for increasing damage given and decreasing damage taken within the expansion. These come in the form of Shadow Tree fragments for upgrading yourself, and Revered Spirit Ashes for upgrading your summons and your steed. Without these upgrades, you will likely die, as the game's difficulty is higher than that of the base game, especially without any upgrades. Now, since Elden Ring was known to have a complex story, how is it in the expansion? Shadow of the Erdtree doesn't attempt to change the ending of the base game, but instead builds upon the lore. Specifically, the expansion focuses on Miquella, one of the characters often mentioned in the base game, but rarely seen outside of a small appearance. Miquella is the son of Queen Marika the Eternal, Marika being the one who shattered the Elden Ring into the Great Runes far prior to the start of the game. Miquella has gone to the Land of Shadow in search of something, and we've in turn followed his path there. After the fight with Mohg, Lord of Blood, you are given the option to transport to the Land of Shadow and pursue Miquella. What will the Tarnished find out? But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
All right. It's finally time we talk about this, and do I really have to say more? It's still Elden Ring. It's just more of Elden Ring, which was Game of the Year when it came out. And you know what? A lot of people, I've been saying, want this to be Game of the Year again, even though it's just an expansion. What do you think about that, Chris?
You know, that's kind of crazy. I was actually going to save that for later on, but since you are actually going to bring that right up at the top, you know, that is what I was definitely reading a lot of those kind of style of reviews online. You know, a lot of people were definitely thinking, wow, could this be like the first time ever that a DLC expansion could rise from the ashes and definitely showcase something that's never been seen before at the Game Awards, which is being nominated in the Game Awards as a DLC. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but for $40, it definitely does feel like a full-on scale complete game. That's for damn sure. I thought I was prepared, playing it back 2 years ago, but absolutely not. Maybe I needed to put in a DVD or a VHS cassette of Dodgeball as well. Dip, duck, dive, and dodge. Holy cow, this game is such a pain in the ass. I don't know about you, HenricK. I felt like I was about to commit some controller homicide. This game definitely wants to make you shatter your devices. And, if you're playing on a PC, that gets kind of expensive. So if you're going to smash anything, what do you smash first, HenricK? Is it the keyboard or is it the mouse? I don't know. Because my PS5 controller gets a little... Yeah, because my PS5 controller is a little expensive, and I'm trying to maintain control. Okay. But I gotta say, the DLC expansion, it doesn't really necessarily reinvent the wheel, but it's like that fun-sized version of that same addictive experience. You got that perfect sundae, and they're adding sprinkles on it. And yeah, from the outside, it's like, oh, are they really adding anything else? But it's like, dude, I'm telling you, it's oh so tasty. You're definitely going to want to jump into the expansion. How you been feeling about any of these new bosses and enemies so far?
Oh, well, the enemies, they're really interesting, the designs they decided to do with them. And they're also, a lot of the even base enemies are pretty hard. I will say,
really hard
compared to that the enemies in the base game. That first dude you come across in the field will mess up your day, like completely just destroy you if you let him. As for the bosses, though, the bosses actually, I had a great time playing against them. I know some people were kind of a little bit disappointed about the last boss. I'm not going to spoil it for the people who haven't gotten there.
Gosh, I want to spoil it so badly, but I won't say it either.
Some people have said, From Software, maybe you were a little bit lazy with this one, but at the same time, it's not
you kind of gave a hint of a spoiler.
maybe, but you have to piece that one together.
That's true.
I think, though, they took a lot of the criticism that people had with the base game, especially when it comes to like the storytelling, because a lot of it is kind of very cryptic in the base game. You have to go and search for a lot of these notes and then read the notes. And for a lot of gamers, they don't necessarily want to do that. Whereas in this game's expansion, they actually made it a little bit easier to understand, even without going out of your way to search for these notes to tell you the lore of the game. And I appreciate that, because I am someone who I also don't entirely like sitting down and reading things in a game like this all the time, unless I, have the time to sit down and do that. But a lot of times I don't. I want to just see a cutscene, or I want to talk to someone, have them voice the story to me, because that's just easier to digest.
Maybe that's a little bit of the effect of just like too much open world in the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
I've been replaying Far Cry 6, and because it's such a massive game, and you want to read a lot of the text logs, but then you tend to just skimming it a lot of the times because it doesn't really aid to the advancement of the storyline.
Yeah, and you have that nagging feeling in the back of your head, like, man, there's still so much I need to do. I can't waste my time here.
But, even this game, though, alone, too, and, you were talking about that first boss and how sometimes that's kind of a pain in the ass, and, I would kind of recommend people to kind of steer away from that first guy and kind of explore some of these other escape routes, so to speak, because you're going to keep dying and dying and dying. But, I don't know, at times, though, it felt like the world design got caught in a tumbleweed, especially kind of similar to like Shadow of the Colossus. That was a game that was like celebrated, especially for like Elden Ring, with all these like giant slaying experience. But sometimes it did work out in the end. Sometimes, like I know you didn't really like reading a lot of these text logs, but sometimes some of these beautiful environments that tend to be on the south end of the map kind of seemed a little bland at times, but maybe that was to kind of force you to discover and travel to kind of find some of those fragments that you were kind of earlier talking about. But I do feel like it's pretty remarkable to see the reception for this DLC expansions, considering how you need to complete the campaign mode just to be able to enter the endgame DLC.
Let's preface that a little bit. You have to beat a specific boss, and he's not entirely the easiest boss to beat. You could technically do him pretty early if you know the pathway to get to him, but majority of players, especially on their first playthrough, they're gonna beat him later in the game. That's for sure.
But this is like not the
if you go
first
on the Steam Sorry, if you go on the Steam achievements, you'll only see that about 40% of the people who've beaten that boss have actually beaten him. So that means that only 40% of the people actually have access to the DLC.
But those
So
40% of
that is
people
remarkable that there's
those-
such a reception.
Right, but because they even also monitor, at least only on Steam, though, they've been reporting that 80% is retention rate. 80% of retention rate out of those 40% of gamers that are currently playing this DLC expansion. That is really, really remarkable. And I know some people kind of have a little bit of grief about this. They're like, man, I kind of don't like the idea of an end game DLC. Well, this is not the first time this has ever happened before. Anybody that remembers Bloodborne, the old Hunters expansion, had that very similar aesthetic when it came to their DLC experience. So they're like, Elden Ring didn't reinvent the wheel. But what I will say is whether or not you should sprint towards Shadow's Keep, kind of like HenricK's suggesting, you know, taking on the first boss, that's completely up to you. But I do like the idea that there's a whole new power scaling system that kind of helps you you know, play by your own rule book, because let's face it, do you really want to go around into battle feeling like, I don't know, a sloth, you know, on a caffeine detox? The answer is no. So you're definitely going to be wanting to run around, grabbing some of those Scadu tree fragments to trade in at the Sites of Grace. It definitely brings up your current character's damage and resistance. And I also know there's Revered Spirit Ash blessings as well. That's all throughout the map. So don't just go directly after the bosses. Feel free to roam all across the new DLC.
A little side note about the name. I know it's like, it's old English. It's like technically Shadow is what it is, not Scadu, but so many people have been calling it Scadu because that's what it looks like.
It does.
It's gotten to the point where that it's like people are even just calling it just Skibbity Tree toilets. It's like, what? But hey,
okay, fair enough.
That
but
just
I
shows
do
how
appreciate.
much. That shows how much people are just having fun playing and, you know, making memes about this game. And I'm gonna still see that for the next few months, probably.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think, you know, I'm all for this idea of creating this separate power scaling system, because it's like a lifeline when you're stumbling through the Shadow Realm, or when you're getting your ass kicked so badly by these DLC bosses. You're gonna thank From Software for coming up with this idea to even further increase your level experience within your own character. I think that's a major plus. But, you know, it seems like, you know, I think the gamers can tell just by watching. This is a definite thing that I feel like you're gonna want to repeat. And it's not one of those things where, like, what I mean by a repeat too is it's that you're gonna walk away from this game like maybe like 2 or 4 years later on, and you're gonna want to replay this game and this DLC all over again. I mean, put it this way: today is the 4-year anniversary of Ghost of Tsushima. I would absolutely today pick up that game and play square one. Just like I would bet money people would easily go back and play this DLC expansion again. So I'm gonna say it's a repeat. What about you, HenricK?
Yeah, if you can stomach the base game's difficulty, challenge yourself and do the DLC's difficulty, because it's very rewarding, just like it is in the base game. I'd say even more so to, struggle against the boss, and then finally you do beat that boss, and you're like, yeah, sit in the ground. I'm better than you. It's a repeat for me as well, definitely.
It's definitely going to humble our future children. That's for sure.
True, yeah.
Our games weren't as hard back then. These are like just insane. So I can only imagine the kids that are like, that have their hands on this, 13 now being 18, revisiting this game. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't even want. Thank God we have like a skill-based system now in a lot of these games, because I'm gonna get my ass kicked by this new future generation of gamers. But you heard it from us, guys. It is definitely a repeat, but we got more left here on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll?
Absolutely. It's time to rage.
Hey, let's get it. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. The summer is here, and video game releases have hit the snooze button, as they always do, but don't sweat it. July 2024 is still packing more heat than a broken air conditioner, with plenty of games to keep you glued to your screen. So grab your sunscreen, stay indoors, and let the gaming marathon begin, baby. Woo! We got a lineup here for you guys. Headlining this month is no doubt the long-awaited return of EA Sports College Football 25. Experience the explosive gameplay variety across 134 football subdivision schools and immerse yourself in the iconic atmospheres of college football as you chase college greatness. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Hey, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of sports games, but like you were saying earlier in the show, Chris, we might have to visit this one for a pause or repeat.
I really do. I think so because, people always be slandering Madden year after year after year. And let's face it, the people that still slander Madden year after year after year are still the same people that still play Madden year after year after year. And the thing that I'm a little skeptical right now when it comes to EA Sports College Football 25 is that, they always talk about this whole micromanaging system. You get to build your player, build them up to be this great college football dynasty, blah, 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 blah. Do people really want to micromanage when they're playing football, especially in their season mode? I mean, that just kind of me seems like a pain in the ass. They're talking about all these new attributes where hey, if you go and get your wide receiver and he jumps really high up in the air and he gets, clothesline, all those bumps and bruises along the way will definitely affect your player as it goes forward. People already bitch about the mechanics of Madden. If you really think that there's zero Madden mechanics in EA Sports College Football 25, newsflash, you're in for it's like they ain't fooling nobody.
There has to be a foundation based in Madden. Some of the mechanics are probably going to be different. I mean, at least I hope they are because they have to differentiate them some
I really don't
way,
think there's. I feel you, Henry. Me personally, I just really don't think there is. But then again, we're definitely going to find out. I know some people are already able to jump on if you bought the early access, but for everybody else, EA Sports College Football 25 releases July 19th on PS5 and Xbox Series XS. The next game that we highly recommend that you put on your radar for July 2024 is The First Descendant. The player becomes a descendant in the game and is given a mission to fight against the invaders for the survival of humans to protect the Ingress continent. The player can experience a spectacular story by growing stronger through various missions and stories to finally discover the Descendant's secret. If you haven't seen gameplay or cinematic trailer for The First Descendant, let's go ahead and take a look.
This one's an interesting one because it's actually free for you to play, and it's trying to grab that player base from Warframe, Destiny, Anthem, and those kinds of games, the looter shooters.
Right.
But is it really free? I don't think so, considering there's a lot of things in the game, and we'll get into this when we do cover it for a pause repeat, but there's a lot of monetization in this game.
And I will say as well, the first hour of the game definitely feels like, oh my gosh, I might want to bounce out and try something else because the tutorial is a bit long until you finally get into the game. But once you kind of branch out into the 3 different regions, at least in the first 4 hours of the game, then you start to go, oh, okay, I can kind of understand why there's some sort of hype that's starting to build up around this game. I still feel like I was saying at the top of the show, this could be an amazing opportunity to turn some of these characters into toy models and then be able to put, I don't know, a freaking code at the bottom, something that, not a QR code, because then people would be ripping open the boxes and just stealing the character.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they got to have to find some kind of way to be able to do it. But I think that would be really, really badass. I think I'm on to something. But the First Descendant, if you want to holler at your boy, it's okay. You could definitely reach out out to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. We're here for you guys. But hey, is anybody that wants to play it, it's out now on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. And yes, I said that correctly. It's out on the PS4. That's pretty cool. I kind of like that, you know? But then also at the same time, a lot of us PS5 fans are going, where are PS5 exclusives? But anyways.
Yeah, exactly. No games on the PS5.
Right. The third game that you guys definitely want to put on your radar when it comes to the July 2024 releases is Zenless Zone Zero. It's a brand new game IP set in a post-apocalyptic metropolitan city. It features an engaging story with a futuristic art style, distinctive characters, and an exhilarating action-oriented combat system. Players will play the role of a, quote, proxy, end quote, and embark on an adventure with a diverse group of partners to conquer the unknown enemies and unravel the mysteries in New Erdtree. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But the last shelter for urban civilization. If you guys haven't seen it, let's go ahead and take a look.
This one is by the same guys that did Genshin Impact, and whether
highly successful, by the way.
Yeah, it's very, very successful. And whether Genshin Impact or this one is not your cup of tea, have to really hand it to them because they know who's playing their games and they know exactly how to make money off of them. I guarantee this is going to be another success for them.
Yeah, they definitely know their gaming demographic, and I was also, when we were watching this trailer and knowing that this game is out now on the PC, PS5, and mobile devices, just the keyword mobile devices make me think of Epic Games. I bet Epic Games is just fuming right now, like fuming, knowing that they still don't have Fortnite accessible all across the world right now. And then they're seeing Genshin Impact, and now they're seeing Zenless Zone Zero, now going to become one of the hottest games of the summer, creeping on in. They're just like, can we be available on the mobile device? And I highly encourage more gaming studios to do this. I think that's just such an amazing feature, and we need to start moving towards that direction. If a game is playable on the mobile device, please, for the love of gamers out there, we love you for doing this. At least me personally speaking. But these are three remarkable games that you should definitely keep on your list of games to play. And man, we got so much more here on Patch Notes. This is Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So HenricK, go ahead and break it down. This is very, very incredible news when it comes to industry talk.
Yeah. We all know the Olympics. It's a huge name.
Coming up.
Yeah, exactly. And the International Olympic Committee has announced a 12-year agreement to host the Olympic Esports Games in Saudi Arabia. The tournament is meant to be a, quote, a lighthouse in the world sports calendar, end quote, according to the chief executive of the foundation hosting it, at least. Some critics have labeled the investments as game washing, an attempt to polish the country's reputation and human rights abuses with entertainment and tourism, as it has been accused of doing with its professional golf and soccer leagues. And I'm pretty sure there's also the Dragon Ball theme park
that's a fair point too.
There. So yeah, it's a big one as well.
They're saying it's not a city, but it's an entertainment mecca.
Yeah, but of course, gamers responded to the announcement with the following comments.
Yes, they did. Let's go ahead and read the first comment for all the gamers tuning in live. So this is from an individual that says the perfect mixture of the Olympic values and the vibrancy of esports. So happy to support the IOC announcement to partner with Saudi Olympic to hold the inaugural Olympic esports games in Saudi. Our nation is gearing up to welcome everyone and celebrate a transformative vision dedicated to a brighter future for all. And then the next comments come in. And the IOC never takes bribes. Not only bribes, but they have insane demands from the host as well. I recommend people to read up on the bid to host the Winter Olympics in Norway. TLDR, too long, don't read. IOC demanded private lanes on road exclusives to them, the rights for all advertising spaces in Oslo, a private audience with the royal family, which was to be paid by them. The next comment that we got here is, quote, "We are a youthful nation with over 23 million gamers," end quote. Last time I checked, Saudi Arabia only had a population of like 36 million. How are 2/3 of them gamers? You know, believe it or not, the New York Times reported that in Saudi Arabia, it's 60% of the population is under the age of 30.
That's wild. And at that point, it is a little believable, I would say, which is actually remarkable, though, when this comment, points out that's 2/3 of the population.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of reference like a lot of the main people that are running, the Saudi Arabia's government is around the ballpark of 38 to 45 years old. I mean, it's incredible. And then they go, hey, who's the demographic? Candy Crush, Tetris players, referencing, to this, the youth. Oh, to be fair, no one works in Saudi Arabia, so they all have time to be gamers. And then one guy followed up by saying, my buddy worked there and said one of the locals' favorite tricks was to come to work without their boots, so they didn't have to go out on the site. This is Reddit. Take it for what you will.
Fly here in the United States. I think you're losing your job at that point.
Absolutely. The next comment we got here is, so serious question. All those games with the rainbow skins and flags and stuff, will that be banned? Will they censor it? Will they arrest openly LGBTQ players? This is such a recipe for disaster caused by the greed of a few. Great, more Saudi blood money being flaunted. Yeah, those are definitely great questions to be raised. And, Saudi Arabia is definitely trying to fix their image. Next and last comment that we have here is, IOC isn't alone either. FIFA forced Brazil to unban alcohol in stadiums because one of the sponsors. The demands are effing insane from these organizations. Edited to the correct organization. Okay, thank you, sir. Force them to unban alcohol and then allow Qatar to ban it at the last minute. So, people kind of chiming in, there's always going to be, certain people that are going to kind of swindle, their way, blah, 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 blah. But, really going back to this whole idea about, Saudi Arabia, they're saying this could really be, quote, the lighthouse in the world sports calendar of esports. Do you view it like that, HenricK, or are they just trying to respawn their reputation with this fancy tournament now being supported by the Olympics? And keep in mind, too, before you chime in, all over social media, they got the Esports World Cup happening right now with the $60 million prize pool. That's pretty remarkable. So what do you make of a lot of this brand new news that just dropped last Friday?
It's real interesting because, as some of those comments have pointed out, there's a lot of things that are put into games that they're even looking at as like potential esports titles that I don't know if the government there in Saudi Arabia would be so keen on having the kind of, highlight things like the non-binary characters and LGBTQ plus characters as well. Like, that's a big thing for a lot of people, is like, what are they going to do about that? Are they going to just not showcase them? Or and we live in a time right now where a lot of people who are online will easily cancel you, but also at the same time, I don't know if everyone entirely would be like compassionate, unfortunately, whether or not it actually does get, completely stripped out of what they showcase. I'm not sure if people would really care, is the unfortunate part about that.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot from Saudi Arabia to convince the outside world to really come and visit their country because, I'm with you, HenricK. It would be definitely jarring for visitors to see women in Saudi Arabia, for example. A lot of them do have, elaborate costumes, and then to be even working at a conference in a country where women's rights have been historically and continue to be very restricted. That's very problematic. And, and so, yeah, those are definitely questions to be raised. And, and you perfectly said it so well to set up the topic of this conversation when you referenced that, yeah, they've been referenced for game washing, with their professional soccer league and also the LIV golfing. And what I would argue with the esports is a lot different than the LIV golf, only in the case that LIV golf goes around the world to different golf courses. They're trying to convince people to come to their country. I think that's a little bit different, in that kind of tiny sense.
Yeah.
That's
they're
where
not hosting it in like the entirety.
Right. Like they're saying we're hosting right here in Saudi Arabia, unless something changes, within this 12-year plan. But they're trying to bring the gamers. They're trying to bring all the gaming fans from around the world to their country. And if you're a woman, quite frankly, I would be kind of scared. I don't necessarily view it as a place of welcoming as of at the moment. But again, Saudi Arabia is trying to change that, their way of the outside world viewing them as, the oil business of their country. Like they're not all things oil. They're trying to hype up and tell the world, yo, listen, we have over 60% of the population under the age of 30. It makes it one of the youngest countries in the Middle East. The Saudi government also has plans to create 250 video game companies and over 39,000 new jobs on Saudi soil. So that's kind of remarkable to even think about. And also they have this thing called the Public Investment Fund, also known as the PIF. And they have a group called Savvy Games Group that now owns 40% of the total esports market share. A spokesperson has spoken out. So the Olympics maybe felt like they had no other choice but to partner up with Saudi Arabia because they jumped on the opportunity a lot faster than most of the outside world did. And I'm sure, the United States and other places are going, damn, we really missed out on this grand opportunity, or they just don't view it that way. They got older cats, politicians that are just like, dude, that's just a place where you escape. That you get off your 9-to-5 job, you go play video games. This is not a sport. Clearly, Saudi Arabia views it differently, and I know they had a very, very big turn up back in October when they hosted the esports event over in Singapore, and I'm sure Saudi Arabia also saw that as well and saw that was an amazing opportunity. But also, to throw it back at you, HenricK, don't you think it's kind of fascinating to know that they own 40% of, the esports market, but then they also control notable leagues like the Electronic Sports League, that is like the esports for the PGA Tour, and they also own Scopely, which is the game studio behind Monopoly Go. All these kind of things, you feel like if you have the money to spend, which Saudi Arabia is clearly saying, they are going to try to buy out every kind of esports business or even gambling style of business so then they can kind of control the overall video game market. Will we ever see that in the first 10 decades? I guess the first 10 years. Do you see that happening, or do you think it's going to take a while before, Saudi Arabia really does become like the mecca of all things gaming when it comes to the world of sports gaming?
Yeah, I mean, money talks. Unfortunately, whether you want to agree with that or not, you viewer, I'm talking to you right now, money does talk. When it comes to business especially, the gaming industry is a business. All these companies that are studios, at the end of the day, they're going to try to make a profit. Now, how far they'll go to make a profit is going to be the thing that differs. And at the end of the day, that means that Saudi money or US money doesn't matter as long as it's money. As for whether or not this will change the perception of how people see Saudi Arabia so quickly, like you're suggesting maybe in the next 10 years, I think 10 years, a lot of things can happen. But they really are going to have to market that change to make it possible. And it is possible for them to market it. They have the money and the resources to do it. It's just going to be a matter of, do they want to do it? At
right,
this point?
Yeah.
Which,
exactly.
I mean, maybe it does seem like they do, considering that they're investing so much in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, back in January, people might have forgotten, too, that Activision Blizzard did kind of partner up with, some of these groupings with Saudi Arabia to help revive their popular game Overwatch by reviving their esports circuit to bring back that game that, shuttered a few months earlier. And also keep in mind too, the PIF, the Public Investment Fund, they have stakes in Electronic Arts, Take-Two, Nintendo, and more. And that might raise a couple few flags. In the earlier lower third that we were showcasing, they're in talks about bringing Rocket League, League of Legends. They're also in talks of bringing, Street Fighter into the mix. I'm sure there's a lot of video game studio companies that are going to get upset with which games get selected and which games do not. And then there is that topic of conversation that we were clouding the Olympics last year. Remember, HenricK, where they brought in this mobile game with
random
archery?
Games. It was like, who's gonna watch this? Also, who could be an actual pro at a game like you were?
That was less than 3 months old.
Yeah,
it was 3 months old. It was a mobile device game where it was archery. And the reason why they selected that game was they go, I know that you guys want us to bring Call of Duty, but we don't want violence. We don't want it USA versus Russia, where we're playing on Rust. Like, they don't want to see that.
How about we bring it back? Here's a question. How about we bring it back to the good old days of Halo, red versus blue? No in between, just colors.
But then they might think that that's the U.S. Space Force going after them. See, it's always so problematic. Do you see where I'm going? No, I'm just kidding. But, we'll end up seeing what ends up happening, with the future of esports. But if you guys like this move, let us know what's good. If you think it's problematic and you hate it, well, let us know. We definitely want to hear from you, the gamers, and let the Olympics know. I mean, they're just fresh on their feet. They're a bunch of old hags and wigs that run that committee anyways. They don't even have enough youthful opinions anyway. So go harass them if you don't like it. But if you do like it, applaud them.
But let's transition to our next topic, Chris. I know Apple has such a foothold in some of the industry already, but they're really trying to get more gamers.
Yeah, we were definitely talking about this at the top of the year, but I wanted to revisit this, HenricK, because I think it's an incredible development. During a recent event, Apple revealed its latest gaming endeavor to further help to streamline Apple Silicon Mac development for games already designed for PC, and also crucially bring Mac games to the iPhone and iPad. It might not sound all too exciting for gamers, but think of it like this. Think of cloud services like Game Pass from Microsoft or GeForce Now from Nvidia. The idea was you'd stream games to play them anywhere. Never mind streaming, forget that. But how about running the game locally on each device? That's what I want you to ponder on as we review these comments from gamers all across the world reacting to this brand new news with Apple's new push into gaming. So the first comment that we got here is, all I know is that I can run Overwatch 2 at 120 frames per second on medium/high settings on my 16-inch M3 Pro base model, and also record with OBS simultaneously for hours, and it's amazingly smooth and quiet. Oh, and this is on battery, crossover 24 patch using a DXVK and M-Sync. So the reason I like this comment, HenricK, is people are able to find patches way before even Mac was developing this shit.
Yeah.
Get video games rolling.
There's been stuff already.
Right. So it's like, if people can figure this out, it's like, I understand Apple has been so late to the game, but I think they're finally starting to realize that, and then also, people kind of are not as in tune with it. They say this question comes back twice a month in this subreddit, and the answer is always no. Will that finally change? Next comment we got here is, they went from dipping their toes in gaming to dunking their whole ass ankle in, which is very fair. Also, short answer, no. Long answer, they seem to have realized that they have some skin in the gaming market and will exert some efforts to make their platform more sticky and engaging. Will it compete with Xbox, PlayStation, PC gaming this year and in 2025? Seriously, no. Gaming is too far ahead of Mac OS for now. So, I mean, how can you say it's too far ahead? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the next one we got here is, I think Apple would love developers to support Mac and put all their games on the OS. The issue is there is no business model in place. Yes, there is Steam, but Apple gets $0 from Steam. There's the App Store, but is woefully inadequate for PC game sales and support. The Mac gaming audience is much smaller than PC, and that is because Apple culture is already creatives, media apps, and not general use and gaming. While M series of chips are incredible and the possibilities of the iPhone, iPad, Mac ecosystem is amazing, Apple is doing little to build a business for this. Until the greenbacks are there, developers will ignore Mac. And the last comment that we got here is, no, their latest effort is only because they need to drive sales of their new M series systems. There's probably definitely some truth to that, but for a company that preaches innovation, they have never understood the video game market, including Mr. Jobs. Plus, they consistently burn developers on the Mac platform, so no one trusts them. You do not have the flexibility that Windows PC providers, both in terms of upgrade capabilities and cost either. It isn't just the game you have to think about. No one is going to buy a Mac for gaming. It's bonus at best. And so now we bring back my lovely co-host HenricK the Wreck, because I do want to ask you this. Apple finally hopping on the video game train feels like they're catching up with the times, but where should they steer next? I mean, a lot of comments are saying they're way too late. I don't view it that way, and I want to stick it to that. Should Apple dig into a backlog of games older than flip phones, or should they keep their eyes on the prize with future games?
Well, I think actually they could maybe benefit from both, because to my understanding, the toolkit that they're developing is just a translation layer. So if that could be applied to a backlog of games, great. That's an awesome development for anyone using a Mac. But they do have to also focus on games that are in the now and the future, because that's what people are most of the time looking at. They're not looking even at like a game from a year ago all the time.
Yeah,
so
I'm with you on that.
They definitely have to more so focus on the future of games and where that's going to go. And I think the biggest thing is making it a one-click solution, because I would say, yeah, there could be people who could figure out, tweaks here and there, how to make games work, regardless of the situation. But for the majority of users, regardless of platform, whether it be Mac OS, Windows, whatever, they want a easy to use, just one-click solution where you just hit install, the game is installed, you launch it, and it works. Not have to go through a bunch of hoops to make things work. And because at that point you lost them. You lost that customer who was maybe interested, but now you made it complicated and they're not going to stick around longer than a couple minutes. So you got to cater to that.
Those are great points too. And I don't think Apple wants to go down some exclusive games route. I think that would be really effing stupid. But yeah, I do feel like, don't you think it's kind of ironic that the last couple months that Apple's just like, hey, yo, everybody, come on. You got an emulator? Oh, shit, let's drop it. I know even this week they're like, hey, we're finally going to drop a PC emulator. Oh, you want to play it on your phone? Cool. I think there's a purpose to a lot of this now. I really am starting to scratch at it a little bit more. And I'm starting to be like, I think they're starting to do this on purpose. They're not going to focus on backlog of games older than the flip phones. They're going to focus all their eyes on the prize on the future games, because think about it, they already showcased Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which launched on Apple products back in July, running on the iPhone 15 Pro, iPad Pro with the M4, by the way, and Max. But the reason I think that this could be really, really awesome is, and I know you were kind of being, you kind of jumping around, the streaming thing. They got the cloud, the iCloud. And if you can keep it inside the ecosystem and you can start to put video games on the App Store, and get this, fam, because I wanted to do a little bit more research on Apple and how that all worked and how that can translate, when you buy one thing from the phone, can I still be able to access that same app on my iPad and the Mac? Well, the thing that's pretty cool about Apple is they have a thing called the universal purchase functionality. So if you buy it once, you get that access across all your Apple ecosystem. And I think that's what's going to be the biggest game changer, because a lot of the time it's like I play on my PS5, right? And it's like, oh, cool. I want to go and play a certain game and I already paid $70 on it.
And you have to
but then I want to go and jump on the PC
on another platform.
Right. Yeah. And then I have to pay another $70. What if Apple is able to get all the new future games and you pay one flat fee and you can play it on your phone, you can play it on your iPad, and you can play it on your tablet. Oh, and by the way, you can play it on your TV. Like, that's going to really throw, I think, a massive curveball. And then think about how games can be used through the iCloud. you could sync your save data. You could play it on the phone, and then you're like, screw this small screen. I'm going to jump to my TV and continue my progress on there. I'm like, I think I'm seeing now where Apple is going with this. And if I was like Microsoft and, you know, struggling with this whole Xbox Game Pass, I think I'd be very concerned right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
I think that they if they do this right, can definitely get a lot of people converted over. The one thing that they're going to struggle with is we're kind of getting to the point, I feel like, where subscription services are becoming too much. There's
That's true,
too many
too.
of them out there, and people are getting exhausted having to pay for a Netflix account, Spotify account, a Hulu account, a Disney Plus account, a Game Pass account, and then now you want to also have me pay for, you know, a Apple streaming service. It's going to be too much for a lot of people.
But even with this, though, you wouldn't even have to subscribe to a streaming service because you know, like we always joke with people, you don't really own anything. When you're buying something digitally, you're not really owning it, you're owning the license. Well, at least you get to own the license throughout this ecosystem compared to when the subscription's over, you lost all access, right? So at least you get to hold it within your ecosystem as long as you're holding on to your Apple products, right? So that's where that comes in. But I think you're onto something, too, because it kind of sounds like you're saying as well, like, don't alienate game developers and publishers, kind of like what they've been doing with Epic Games in this whole battle in Europe. That's one thing Apple needs to learn from, because trust me, you don't think video game companies are looking at what they've been treating Epic Games and they're going, man, you want us to be a part of this negotiating table and this is how you like to conduct business? Not the smartest move on their end, but yeah, I think there's a lot of this kind of stuff is very, very promising. And let us know what's good. Do you think the Mac ecosystem's enough to bring, you know, video games to a whole new horizon for the company? Or is it just not quite there because we're already overwhelmed with too many streaming services? Let us know.
Yeah, am I right on that? Is it getting to that point for you? Let us know, because
yeah, I think
at
that's
least
a fair point,
I
Henrik.
feel that way.
No, it's a great point. I wasn't even thinking about that. It's a very, very true point. But let's go ahead because, you know, we're already talking about all these streaming services, and we are kind of referencing Xbox Now, which is the segue. So break it down because, you know, people have been pissed off.
Xbox gamers are up in arms over Microsoft's latest Game Pass shakeup, accusing them of treating day one titles like they're locked behind Fort Knox.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Previously, shelling out for Xbox Game Pass meant the keys to the kingdom were yours. But hold on to your controllers, because Microsoft just announced they're hiking up the price of Game Pass Ultimate and making changes to the subscription model.
Man,
and here's the twist.
Brutal.
The standard edition, priced at $14.99, won't unlock day one games. Meanwhile, the Ultimate Edition, priced at $19.99, will let you feast on all those fresh off the press Game Pass titles. These updates are slated to drop in September this year, so get ready to swipe your Xbox credit card accordingly.
Yeah, you know, you ain't lying, HenricK. And I know gamers shared their thoughts on this brand new subscription change with the follow. So let's go ahead and start reading these comments. Xbox president Sarah Bond has no answers. They know they are in trouble. Game Pass and mass conciliation are not sustainable. Sony executive says they would need 500 million subscribers, and they have 34 million. That's Sony. We're talking Microsoft here. And I've been telling people this for years. Xbots, he doesn't even put Xbox, he puts Xbots, and journalists called me a liar. And Grums used to be, you know, a developer for World of Warcraft. So I do think he has a little bit of sense of what's going on behind the scenes. Remember that time that Microsoft told regulators and us they wouldn't raise the price of Game Pass after they acquired Activision Blizzard? Turns out they lied. What a shocker. And yeah, look at some of these old headlines. Microsoft insists Game Pass prices, quote, will not increase as a result of Activision merger. That didn't even last a year, dude. Nope. That is, wow.
I mean, that's what happens when you acquire such a big company, though, and spend so much money to do so.
I wonder if it will be played out in court all over again.
We'll have to see.
PS Plus increased price. Quiet. Ubisoft Plus increased price. Quiet. EA Play increased price. Quiet. Netflix increased price. Quiet. Xbox Game Pass increased price. And we get tons of thumbnails all over the place. I don't know where this person Extension is getting this from. I know when I saw the Netflix increased price, people flipped the hell out. I get it with the PS Plus. I didn't really see too much hype. It wasn't like entirely a whole lot. And I also tend to argue that the PS Plus Premium has a lot more to offer than what the Xbox Game Pass has to. But that can be an argument for another day. But like, to really say that Netflix, nobody said anything. Everybody was grimacing about it. Even when Disney Plus and Hulu raised it, they're like, really? Again? And it's just like how you were highlighting earlier, Henrik. It's like people are starting to get sick and tired of too much streaming services. I think we're all starting to regret saying cut the cable.
In a sense, yeah, because, I mean, yeah, we're not necessarily paying for cable anymore, but we're paying for all the subscription services that were part of cable.
Exactly.
The price ends up being the same, if not more.
If not more. And like this person also saying too, Netflix price goes up. This sucks. PS Plus goes up. Oh, that sucks. Xbox Game Pass goes up. Curse you, Microsoft. I hereby vow you will rule this day. Your fear made flesh with the hail of harpoons with every last drop of my being.
He's referencing the dude from Elden Ring's expansion.
Exactly. I thought that was pretty funny. It's pretty true. And then we also got this one that says, a year-long subscription of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate now costs me $256 a year with taxes, laughing my ass off. And you know that price will only increase in time. Yeah, that is the sad part. And then someone put together even better, more beautiful chart that says a quick and dirty chart by me to display the new Xbox Game Pass structure, subject to correction. I hope this helps. And yes, as like you were highlighting earlier, it just sucks, you know. And some people I've been seeing online are kind of blaming Call of Duty for this reason, Henrik. I don't know if you know, Call of Duty has anything to do with this factor. I mean, during the court battles to try to acquire Activision Blizzard, they really made it sound like that was never the case. But Henrik, time will tell whether Xbox gamers eventually get on board with these price increases. But why the sudden change?
Well, we kind of alluded to it already. You know, they purchased Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, right.
And and that was a huge expenditure on their part to do so.
$69 billion.
And and I'm sure that they're looking for ways to make some of that money back quicker than they are now projecting, because they might have seen now that they're not going to make their money back as quickly as they thought. So they're looking for other ways. And what's the easiest thing to do? Let's bump up the price of Game Pass a few dollars.
Well, didn't you kind of think? Well, didn't you think it's kind of interesting too? Because you know this is not a segment for Amazon, and we're not here to promote them. They don't pay us no money, but it is like their little Prime Day holiday that's happening right now. I saw a bundle that really kind of made me was like, whoa, I can't believe what I'm seeing is real. And they were selling a 1-month gift card of Xbox Game Pass, and they were selling a controller. This is all bundled together, and an Amazon Fire Stick. Forget the console. That's all bundled together right now. You can go view it on Amazon today. And I'm thinking that's so insane because literally a couple months ago, they were so happy to be able to celebrate the new editions of the consoles that are going to be dropping, even the one that's a discless, because, you know, your cheap ass can't buy it, right? Who was the girl that said that? Pokemon or whatever the hell her name is?
Pokemon, you're a broke boy.
Like, you know, she's like, oh, you broke bitches. You can't buy my cookie, you know, then you know, you don't deserve to eat it. You know, it's like, you know, they try to find all these alternatives, and then now you start to see that they're moving away from the consoles, which to me just seems like, wow, you would think that that would be a good sum of revenue that can come towards their gaming division. But then when you start seeing these bundle moves that they're creating with Amazon, and also today, before we jumped on air, I sent it to you through your DMs, which I was very just shocked. I was like, on Microsoft's website now, you can choose between the option of, do you want to go to the Xbox Game Pass or do you want to go to Nvidia Go?
Yep.
Why that now all of a sudden? Why are they giving, you know, players options to choose between Xbox, Microsoft own, or to go directly to Nvidia? I don't have an answer for that yet, but ponder on that, gamers, because I'm sure that's going to be something that HenricK the Wreck and I are going to revisit later on this season as more develop breaks out. But like now it's starting to seem like Xbox is freaking out, maybe over the Apple ecosystem. Maybe they're freaking out over Netflix. Let's not forget about them. They've been testing the water about gaming for quite some time now. Amazon Luna, they can easily build up their gaming service, so maybe they feel like, yeah, we'll sell our controllers on Amazon, but what makes us stopping from partnering up with another streaming service?
Maybe what they need is in that bundle that's being sold on Prime Day, they need to put in that Deadpool butt controller.
Yeah. I wish I had that photo now. That is pretty legendary. I cannot wait for that movie. I bet you might need that because your palms be sweaty. You might
exactly.
You might need some extra. Okay,
but I mean, hey, they're really focusing on the cloud. Like that is their big selling point. Just Microsoft in general. They've been pushing Azure for forever at this point, and it's, I think, been successful for them already. Azure has, because they service enterprise and commercial and things like that already, and that makes them money there. So now they're looking at their other division, Xbox, and they're like, well, why not just offer cloud gaming, because we already have experience in this. And I do think when it comes down to it, Game Pass is the subscription service for gaming that has probably the most value out of all of them. So at the end of the day, it's kind of gonna probably get away with this, I think, this increase in price. Just like how groceries can go up in price, but people will still buy them because you need groceries to actually cook anything.
And you need entertainment, and you want to continue to watch more Star Wars and more Disney and more of your favorite Hulu shows and Amazon, etc. So, HBO Max, the list goes on and on and on. Those are all very, very great points, but definitely want to hear from you gamers. Let us know what's good. But man, this has been such an amazing Season 6 launch of Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. And we can't thank you, the gamers, for tuning in live every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, because if it wasn't for you guys, the gamers and girls out there, this show would not be possible. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we also want to do one last shout out again. If you guys are not following me on my YouTube channel, The Chris College Show, go ahead and hit the QR code, scan it, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show of Rage Quit.
Yeah, and you can do the same with my YouTube channel on that QR code. Go ahead and hit subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz. You know how it works. And yeah, stay tuned because more stuff is coming.
That is so freaking true. We're so blessed, man. Thank you guys so, so much. And we will see you guys next week, fam. Peace.
See ya.